Welcome, Bruno. Welcome to the show. How you doing?
So happy to be here, Kimbo. I love it how we just jump into it. Let's go.
Okay, so we're talking about we're kind of just going to spitball a little bit today because that's what you and I are good at. But
Yeah.
broadly speaking, for those joining and listening to the podcast, we want to cover lots of different areas around like expectations that we have, like for love, for relationships, maybe even dating. We might even get to that versus reality. Because, well, I'm going to throw it out there that I think a lot of people work with coaches because they have a really specific expectation of what they want their relationship to look like, what they want their love life to look like. And then they get the reality. And there's this big gap of disappointments. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about taking care of yourself. We might even talk about kids. So that's what you can kind of expect in today's show. But we're going to jump in. I want to jump into the kids subjects because Bruno and I were talking about it right before. And to give a little context, I had just signed on with a new doctor. And because I'm 34 years of age, now everybody knows. She asked me if I wanted to have children. And she kind of made me feel a little pressured in the fact that she said, look, if you don't have kids before 35, anytime you get pregnant after 35, it increases your chance of complications, your child having Down syndrome. And I kind of felt scared. So let's talk about that because I felt a bit of pressure. And then I said to Andrew, hey, we got to have kids in the next year, like as a joke. And he almost like vomited in his mouth because
right. That's exactly that got us onto this podcast today because of the reaction from Andrew and from all these things that we need to actually have a really frank discussions today. First of all, what we said prior to starting recording was exactly that. I'm not a big fan of doctors or practitioners or people that are speaking from the authority frame. Yeah. That they're saying, hey, you know what? That was your first meeting. So she doesn't know you. She hasn't done any blood work. She hasn't done anything. She's just generalizing, saying, hey, the science says that a woman after 35, the chances are going down. I agree. Okay. Yeah, they've done that, but it's generalizing, right? We know that humans gather information through different ways, generalizing, deleting, or distortion. Yeah. Right. So generalizing, saying women, we all know example of women that do have kids at, 40, 45, even 50. They have healthy kids the natural way, no problem. So that's one of the generalization. But we're talking about expectation. Yeah. My question to you right after that is that why do you want to have kids? Have you asked yourself the question, why do I want to have kids? Because here's the thing that I've realized speaking to men and women and couples about having kids or the expectation we have around relationship. When we enter a relationship or we enter, we call it, I call it a pilgrimage. It was a midlife crisis driving across Canada because the thing is that we are now operating, right? It took me 48 years to figure that out. A lot of coaching, a lot of, seminars, a lot of finding myself was, I was actually composed. My identity wasn't a true me. I was actually composed of the projection from my parents, the projection from teachers, the projection from mentors, from bosses, from friends of how they perceived me. And I took that as my identity. Yeah. The thing is that when we realize now we're talking about kids, is that most women are pressured into having kids because it's what they're expected to do. Yeah. Right. We're going to be very, very frank here. Anybody who's listening, I'm going to be the bad guy today. There's this expectation of women to have these kids. There's a study right now, and you can find more than one, that the happiest people on earth right now are women above 30 with 0 kids, 40 with 0 kids, 50 with 0 kids. There's a lot of discussions about that because people go and have kids and they have the professional practitioners saying, hey, you got till you're 35. Mm-hmm. How about that pressure? You just said it yourself, man. I only got, by the time you realize, let's just say that you're an adult at 20. Yeah. Just to be fair, Canada and the States and everywhere around the world, you're an adult at 20. You got 15 years to make this life-changing decision. right? And then on top of that, you got to find the right guy. You got to buy a house, get a job, do all these things. And now we're going like, nobody sits you down and say, hey, do you want to have kids?
Yeah.
And most people go, well, of course it's, and I say, well, why? And then they get stuck. You got stuck on it.
You asked me that. So literally that is the first time I've ever been asked that question. So I want to process it, because jokingly, half seriously, the first thing I did say to you before we started recording is, oh, it'd be nice to have someone look after me when I'm older. Is that my real motivation? No. So let me think through it. Why kids? I don't know. I mean, one, I do feel that pressure, like as a woman coming of that age, being in a serious relationship with a man I deeply love and value. It does feel like that's what I should do. I know that I feel that.
Oh, look at that.
I know. I know.
You said should.
Yes, I know.
You said should.
I know the language, right?
It should be. Yeah, I know. It should be a want.
Yes.
Not a should.
I also should own a home. I also should blah, 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 a million other things. So I know that there's this societal pressure that is weighing on me. Why else? But then there's a part of me that that kind of pictures what life might be like. And we're talking about expectation versus reality. So it's funny that I'm thinking about this. This is my expectation, essentially, of what having a child with Andrew would be like. And it's not going to be anything like this, is it? Here's my expectation is we have a beautiful baby and we're in this like love triangle, right? We love our baby. Andrew steps up and he's this amazing father. And we're so in love because we share this baby together. And that's where it stops. Like, and then I see, okay, then later I see a little cute little, let's say it's a little girl running in like the garden and I'm picking flowers with her and it's like a movie. My idea is like a movie. The sun is shining on our faces and like I'm looking at Andrew in the house or working in the shed or doing his thing. And it's like a fantasy that's what would make us a family. Now, part of me does want to have a child because I guess I have those hormones in me that are like, calling for that, truly. And then, we've talked about it. Andrew and I were like, yeah, we want to have a child, but we're afraid. And what would that mean for our relationship? And then I see all my friends that have children and their relationships are not as strong. And that's usually because, well, statistically, the lowest level of satisfaction in a relationship is after the first child. And that is because you're trying to keep the baby alive and all of the attention pretty much goes on the child. And as a men's coach, I hear that one of the biggest complaints from men in that situation is they feel ignored, underappreciated. They don't feel valued. They certainly don't feel like their woman looks at them with any kind of sexual desire or lust. So they usually emotionally distance from each other. The emotions all go towards the child and the relationship can fall apart or they can manage through it and make it work. And so my fantasy of what having a child with Andrew would look like has more to do with the feeling. It's weird that I'm recognizing this now. It has more to do with the feeling of us being in love than what is actually going to happen when there's a baby that I need to take care of. How do I manage my work? And can I still keep the same income coming in? And is Andrew going to be energetic and wanting to roll around in the sheets with me? Or is he going to be effing tired? Or like, what am I actually wanting from my life? And it's fascinating to have this conversation with you because I don't know the answer.
Exactly. Look at how the power of one question asked the right way at the right time in the right circumstances, which is what coaches do, asking you the why, right? And you brought up a whole variety of things. And by the way, when you closed your eyes and you started imagining, that's the distortion part of the human brain, right? So we need to distort life if we want to achieve things. The thing is that you're right. It's an Hallmark movie. Nobody talks about the sleepless night, the losing of your body, the whole thing. And when you brought at the beginning, when you brought Andrew's reaction, he said he puked in his mouth.
Well, yeah, it's just like, I don't know.
Exactly.
Right?
So here's the from the side of a man. Okay. So basically, I'm gonna once again be the bad guy here. No man, very rarely. I'm not going to generalize here, but generalization is the thing. Very rarely, there are some men out there that do want to have kids, and they grow up and they're great family men. I've met two of those people in my entire life. Guys that wanted to have kids, stay at home, and do these things. But no man grows up wanting to be a husband and have kids. They don't. We don't have that into our psyche when we grow up. We
Agreed.
get to
agreed.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And then we meet the right woman, which sees us, desires us, and do these things. And men were designed to provide. So at one point, the woman, by the pressure or whatever, comes in and says, I want to have kids. And then we go, oh, because one of the most important things for men is freedom. We love to do the things to do. But then there's 3 steps that I've realized personally in my life and in the people that I coach and I counsel with, is 3 things. Is one, that when the man and the woman meet, everything, they're having sex everywhere, they're going on adventures, everything is great, all of these things. There's the first change that happened when they move in together. Life changes. Then there's less sex. It's more the law of familiarity comes in, right? And then, you start seeing sides of the other person you weren't seeing because you were only seeing them part-time, or you all had this separate place where you could go and be yourselves, right? That's the first one. The second one is when you get married.
Yeah.
And change there, right? It starts again. The man is like, okay, now I'm married. What about that sex? Or what about that? We got to go do these things. Or can I go with my buddies? No, you're married now.
I just want to quickly interject because someone made this distinction to me, and it's like some people feel that marriage is like the goal, whereas when you marry someone, it's actually truly the start of your relationship.
It is.
Some people view it almost as the end, right? So
yeah. And then the third step, the third change is when you have kids. And once again, biology and conditioning and everything steps in. The husband becomes number 3. Basically, he went from being number 1 to being number 3, because now it's the mom, the kid, and then the husband for whatever's left at that. What happens to men when they talk to me, or when they realize, and we call this midlife crisis, is they go is like, man, everything's serious now. I can't go because now I'm a dad. I can't go play hockey. I can't go and do the things that I used to do and have fun and do all these things. It's all about seriousness. And then I say to my wife, I'll take care of the kids and you can go in with your friends and we can square off. And some women are really good at this, but most women go, no, because you can't take care of a kid. Like I got to feed him. I know what he needs or she needs or whatever, and all these things. And what happens is that the 2 people start losing themselves within this thing.
Yeah.
Now, that's why it's so important that we have these conversations for both people of, why do you want to have kids? What does that look like? And to actually do the research with people who do have kids. Because I remember, I'll take a personal experience for me with my son's mom, who I'm now divorced from and I'm remarried, is that at the time we had a lot of couple friends that had 2 kids. And for some reason, the conversation was always around, you should have another. You should have another. And me, things weren't going well. And then I was looking at the men in those relationships. And they had dark circles. They weren't happy. They were tired. The mom was tired. Everybody was tired. I said, I don't think that looks like a good thing. Oh, they'll play together. They'll do these things. And when I ask men on in private, like, are you really enjoying things? And then we're saying like, dude, I don't have time for myself. I don't even exist. I'm just a robot here, kind of providing, going to work, doing these things. And then when I asked the mom, seriously, I said, you have time for yourself? Nobody does. And it's normal because you're taking care of a small human that needs your attention 24/7.
Fully dependent.
Some people, they're totally dependent. So expectation is we all know, as coaches, both you and I know, that expectation will always get you disappointed because you distort this reality of what's going to happen. Now, intentions are the way to go. We both know that. So I think it's about asking the right questions and really not staying at the surface. This is not a topic that you stay at the surface. You must go in depth, both personally and as a couple. is that looking so it's okay to be scared. You should be scared, because
Yeah.
I think having kids is the most serious responsibility that we ever, as human, we undertake. Yeah, absolutely.
I agree. And I obviously, as a dating and relationship coach, I'm always advocating for people to think about that question. I don't think that often I've gone and, used a whole session for it. And maybe from now on I will. I'll press people a little bit to just understand the significance of it. But, from the day I met Andrew, there was a shift. Like, he's the first man I've ever been with where I would even consider it, because of who he is and how amazing he is. Like, I could see it happening with him. And I'm obviously realizing that, and we both know that now is not the right time for us, because we're thinking about learning how to paraglide this summer. So, I mean, doing that and having a baby, that just doesn't go hand in hand. And for the ladies out there, mostly men are listening to the show. It's like, men are also usually around this age, in their like 30s and 40s, are still in like the creation phase of their life. Like, and you can comment on this as well, but they're still wanting to contribute and like pursue their like passions and be in the community and be appreciated for the work that they do. And they're still building their lives and building their income and building who they are as a person. So if you put a child in the picture, there's less time for them to build the identity of what's really important to them. I see Andrew's in that phase. Like, he's still creating, and he's like an inventor. He's my genius inventor. He's coming up with ideas and thinking about ways that he can improve things and change the world and be an artist. And having a child right now would take a lot of that away from him. And that would take a lot of his happiness away from him. Right.
Men, right? Men love to be praised, freedom, and have their woman open. Right?
Wait, I call it, wait. I say, treat men like dogs. Wait, okay.
Yes.
Yeah. When they come home, be excited to see them. I said, rub their bellies and give them praise. And I tell you that you'll keep that man forever, right?
Right. And it's the same thing for freedom, right? And a lot of people a lot of women out there, and I want to explain freedom.
Yeah.
Exactly. Freedom doesn't mean, right? When I say freedom to the women that I coach, they say, what do you mean by freedom? And they go straight to being with other women. This is not what we're talking about. The freedom for the men to express who they are. This is why we have this toxic masculinity, is because men like to roughhouse with their friends. Men like to be silly with their friends. Men need to go and let these outlets go and be. The thing is that when you do have kids, once again, they're beautiful, they're amazing, and having the right woman with you is important. But the thing is that we need those times away, right? Most men, like, you're right, they're in creative, they go out there and they're slowly squeezed out, like I said, of that relationship. So that's why they start to get validation or value praised by themselves. They go where the praises are happening, which is usually in their career. Right. But now I get 50-year-old CEOs that are reaching out to me going, Bruno, I don't know, but I'm depressed. I don't know why. And I'm like, on paper, I'm successful. I got the family, I got the thing, I got all these things. And then I elicit with them, why do you think that is? And they go, I don't know. Like, like now that the kids are moved out of the house, the wife wants me at the house all the time because her role has changed. She's been a mom all her life. And now the kids are on their own. So now she's missing something. She needs to fill it out. She wants even more demand to be at home. And he's like, dude, now I'm free to go do the things because I don't need to take care of the kids. And now she wants me to come in. So these conversations aren't happening. And when I ask them and we really get down to the bottom, what have we realized is they're doing 100% of the things they don't want to do and 0% of the things they should be doing for themselves.
Yeah. And that's when people say like, oh, I don't feel motivated, I'm lacking passion. It's not that you're not motivated or lacking passion. It's that you're not doing what builds you up and gives you energy. You're not doing enough of what you love. And this is the reality for the majority of people. The expectation here is that I'll find a woman, I'll fall in love, we'll have a home and a family, and we'll be that wonderful couple that has all this beautiful love and energy, and we'll have passionate sex all the time and great meals, and I'll go away with my it's not the reality for most people.
No, it's not. It's
Is it
not.
possible? Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes,
it's
it totally is.
possible. With two people that are highly, highly aware and have an intention of what they want their relationship to be like. But that takes work and energy and effort from two people, and they have to be aligned. Like,
Right. And the key word here, the magic word you said was awareness.
yeah.
Being aware of your wants and needs. But most people go into a relationship, first of
Bruno,
all,
we should get married, I think.
you have what? You and I?
We should get married. Can you imagine?
I
You'd be
love
like,
it.
no, but this is the new research on relationships. I'm like, no, but I heard this. We should have this goal. Okay.
Would constantly be kind of coaching each other. Exactly. But the awareness, the self-awareness is basically some part of my coaching, as you know, is to have people start being, first of all, honest with themselves.
Yeah.
Because once again, people answer, we've been trained in school to, one, answer right away, and to search for the right answer. And when it comes to yourself, your own self, there's no right or wrong answer. There's only the answers.
Yeah.
And most people aren't aware of their own. They're answering projections from their parents and their teachers and everybody else that mentored them in their lives. And the filters that they've been seen through, they think that's their identity, but it's not. So I asked them, the first step we're going to do is you're going to start being honest with you, not with me, right? Because, you know, you're paying me and everything. This is your space. But I think that if you want to see change, be honest, start being honest with yourself. Yeah. What is it you want, right? And most people will go, I'll give you the best example that I always give is people that says, would you dance naked in your living room? And most people go, no. I said, why not?
Me, that's a resounding yes.
Yeah, exactly. We do it. Right? The thing is that it's about freedom, right? But most people will say no. Do you know why they say no? The answer they give me, what if the neighbor sees me?
Oh, totally. Yeah, that's
right.
Exactly. Yeah. What if?
That's exactly the answer. But that gives me the inside, the model of their world is basically everything they do is based on the perception of other people looking at them.
And that's how I like to define self-esteem or self-worth. It's the perception of what we think others think of us, or the perception of how others view us. And if we feel like others don't view us well, we usually have a really low self-esteem. So often we're living in this constrained reality based on what we think others are thinking. And usually we're probably really wrong a lot of the time. Right?
Oh, I'm going to tell you that 90% of the time we're wrong. And it doesn't matter how other people are seeing you. Yeah. They're seeing you through their model of their world, their filters, their traumas, their thing and all that, right? It's the same thing of when somebody, you come up with a great project or should I do this, right? And people say, you know what? Don't do it. Don't get married or don't have kids, which is not what we're saying today. No. We're just being honest about what is it that you need to be self-aware of. Yeah. And most people are navigating this life with these different personalities that they've created to their entire life. How do I show this to my clients? I ask them one question. Are you the same person you are with your wife that you are with me? They go, no. Are you the same person you are with your mom that you are with your wife? They go, no. Are you the same person you are with your buddies that you're not with that you are with your mom? And they go, no. I said, those are all different masks or different personalities you created to be able to operate within this world. At one point, you're going to realize it's the midlife crisis, what I call it a pilgrimage. The thing is that you need, at one point, most people that I work with realize that they're living the imposter syndrome because the inside blueprint doesn't match the outside. And they're like, how did I get here? And they suddenly wake up and they go, wait a minute, like I got kids, I got all these things, I should be happy because the TV or the movies or my parents or somebody told me this is what you need to do. Get the job, get the wife, get the house, get the kids, and then everything's going to be all right. And then they realize
no way.
At 40 or 50, things aren't all right at all. No. And I don't even know who I am.
I hear from men a lot. I ask them, do you operate the same way at work as you do in your relationship? They go, oh no, I bust balls at work. I'm assertive. I'm in charge. I don't take, no for an answer if I need something done. And then I come home to my wife and I I'm just a yes guy. I'm a people pleaser. I'm somehow completely different with my wife or my girlfriend than I am at work. And they're like, I don't understand why my relationship's not working. And we're going to talk about polarity at some point too, but like, and then these guys that are divorced or twice divorced or out of a long-term relationship, very often I'm hearing them say, the last 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years of my marriage or relationship, we didn't even touch each other.
Everybody's operating on shame and guilt, right? Men tell me, Bruno, I do it because if I don't do it, then people are going to say I'm a shitty husband or I'm a bad dad or I'm whatever. And once again, they get lost. They go, I don't know who I am anymore. Yeah. And then the same thing with the women. I can't go out because if I do go out with my friends and have a good time, then what kind of mom am I? How many times have you heard that, Kim? Yeah. Right? What kind of mom am I if I'm going out and having fun or a trip to Vegas or all the man, you're human, right? When did life get so serious that we forgot on how to have fun anymore?
I know. So my sister, she has 2 children, and one is 5 and one is 3. So in the last 5 years, and this is actually about double that, but in the last 5 years that she's had children, let's call it 6 because she was pregnant before. Okay. So let's call it in the last 6 years from getting pregnant to now my nephew being 5 years old tomorrow. Her and I have gone away on a sister's weekend once. And that was only a month ago. And that was the first time that she had actually been away from her children in, call it 6 years. 6 years. It was the first time my sister, and we surprised her for her birthday. And in fact, her fiance said, his name's Matt. He goes, Kimmy, take Vanessa away for her birthday. She needs it. Yeah, of course she needs it. She's 6 years late needing it. It was the first weekend we had gone away just as sisters in 6 years. Like that's not criticizing my sister. She's a beautiful mom.
No,
she's not perfect. I'm not perfect.
There's nothing she can do about it. It's wiring.
That's not enough. That is not enough time for yourself. That's not enough balance or fun. Like we feel that when we start these families, like the expectation is our life will continue kind of as normal, but there'll be a baby in the picture, when the reality is our life fundamentally changes and we don't do the things that we love anymore. We don't, many of us, right? We don't have the same passion.
It's all about responsibilities.
Yeah.
That's all it is. Responsibilities everywhere.
Yeah. Like right? Andrew says, if we had a child, then it would be irresponsible of me to go paragliding. And I actually said to him, I said, my instinct is to be like, yeah, that's irresponsible because you die, I'm all alone. But then
you don't even have a kid yet.
Yeah, I know. But then part of me is like, I'm like, no, you could still do that. Like if you want it, because that's the kind of relationship I want to have and want to build, is that we don't say no to the fun things. Like,
and then there's this misconception that women are the only one that can take care of kids, because when they leave the kids with the men, with the fathers, and they say, you're not doing it right. Of course, we're not doing it right. One, we don't have any practice. And two, we're men. You're going to get back home. The kids, all we care about is the kid fed and alive. Yeah. That's all we care about. This is how our brain works. Yeah. Women are complex. Men are so simple. You said it earlier, treat them like dogs, like they're like good boys, right? The thing is that we go from point A to point B, right? We can't do two things at the same time and everything. So you tell us, take care of the kids. We're going to go, when you come back, the kids are going to be alive. This is our own wiring as men, right? Go hunt, go get the food, come back, make sure everybody's safe and all these things. We can't walk away of that. Same thing as women can't walk away from taking care of the kid and making the kid the priority, because the reason why I'm still alive today is because my mom took care of me. This is that simple. And today it goes into, and it translates into, once again, it's very important about, because we're going to talk about feminine and masculine energy here, is about, and then women continue that motherly role towards their husband.
Yeah.
And then
oh, boom.
and then we're gonna fall into that role as okay, now she's taking care of me. And then at one point she goes, I'm tired of taking care of everybody. And we never asked to be taken care of. You just kind of put us into that spot. And because we love to give to you and we love you unconditionally, we're going to give you everything.
Yeah.
Including our freedom, including our own masculine energy, including everything. And then you don't recognize polarization, what you were talking about earlier. Then there's this depolarization happening because now there's too feminine energy in the house. Women say, oh, I want you to take care of the kids. I want you to do this and all these things. But what they're basically saying is they want another mom there to help them. Yeah. When we step into that, then they go, where's my husband? Where's this masculine energy that needs to come in and take care and provide and protect and all these things? And I'm not talking about traditional roles here. Yeah. We're talking about masculine, feminine energy. Where it's the same thing when a woman goes over to work at a corporate job, she comes at the house and she's still in her masculine energy. Then there's too masculine energy in the house and things aren't happening. And you're saying, what's going on?
I've talked about this polarity on the podcast before, but for those that are maybe jumping into this episode or going, well, what are you guys talking about? Masculine, feminine energy. So just, you can describe it after as well. But I look at it as every being on this planet, whether you were born a man or a woman, we all have within us masculine and feminine energy. Call it black and white, call it yin and yang. Typically, and people would argue with me on this, but typically that masculine energy is the more assertive, more domineering, like, jumps into conflict, whereas the feminine energy is a little more emotional and free flowing. And so when you have two feminine energies, it could be two men, it could be two women, it could be a man and a woman, are tapped into this feminine energy. I always give the example of like you and your wife are probably sitting on the couch just trying to pick what to order for dinner. And you're both like, I don't know. And she's like, I don't know. And you're like, well, I don't know what I want. How about Thai? And she goes, no, I don't want Thai. And you go, how about pizza? She goes, no, we had pizza last week. You can't make a decision. Right. And it's just like, nothing's going to get done. Whereas if the two of you are arguing about the meal, or, you're also not going to have a decision. So that's two people tapped into their masculine energy. And like, there's no attraction there. Right.
It's depolarization. You're right. The masculine energy, you brought in, the more upfront ones about domineering and controlling and all these things. The masculine energy is about fixing solutions, right? Finding solution, fixing problem. We find a big problem. We want to bring it to small. We want to do these things. That's why I want to, once again, self-awareness with my wife, with Sarah. She comes into me now and she has two things. She says, she comes up to me, she says, I just want you to listen. And I'm like, okay, I'm putting on my listening hat. Yeah. Or she comes in, she says, I'm looking for a solution for this. I need you to help me out, right? Because that's
how women can help men in that area, because you are hardwired to go right to the solution. And this is why women's biggest complaint is men don't listen. You guys are listening. You're helping to take away her pain and her emotion by solving the problem, when in reality, she just wants to emote and have you just touch her and pat her on the back. And she doesn't want you to solve anything, because the truth is 5 minutes later, she'll solve it herself. Right.
Exactly. And that's the thing. Right. And then I've learned that, right. In women, the feminine energy is about nurturing, about connecting, about the fluidity of everything. We're directional and very rigid. They're very fluid. So we need to chew. We, like you said, both men and women have both feminine and masculine energy, and we go back and forth. And sometimes it's good to change roles and to do these things. This is a healthy way of going forward. Yes. The problem is that when people stay in one energy, and it happens in same-sex couple as well, just so you know, it's every human has that. And it's very important to be able to know, and it's a dance. It just happens, right? So women, the best description that I had heard was, men go from point A to point B. This is the village, and we're going to go and hunt over there. We walk from here and it's over there. That's it. We don't talk. We don't say anything. When we see the prey, we shoot the spear. We did the thing. We come back. Here we go. We did that. Women, it's like berry collecting. We're going to berry collecting. So they say, all right, so now, right, we don't talk. Men don't talk. I forgot to say this. Men don't talk because we don't want to scare away the prey. We want to be as close as possible to it. Women, they talk about things to scare away the predators that could be out there. And then they tell you, you know what, don't go to that tree because those berries are poison. Go to the other tree. The berries are blue and they're these things. How does
these
it
ones
look?
are bigger because the sun falls here and they're blah, blah. They're,
Exactly. And they talk to each other and they connect and they bring the kids and they do these things. And what does it look like in today's modern world? Baby, go get me this spaghetti sauce. It's on aisle 6 on the left, third shelf, not the blue one. Take the red one and everything. The guy goes, spaghetti sauce. Like, I'll just grab the spaghetti sauce. And you come home and say, here's your spaghetti sauce. And they go, it's the wrong one. What do you mean? There's like 20 of them. Like, you know what I'm saying? So women connect that way. And men, I had to learn to listen. Guys, if you're listening to this, you do not need to remember any of the details. You just need to listen for the beginning and the ending, and just be there and hold the space and the presence for your wife or your significant other to be able to, she's going to figure it out herself. They did these research and studies with kids, girls in kindergarten, when they were talking about their caretakers, their babysitters that had braces. Most girls go, oh, my babysitter also has braces, and they connected and they made this thing that's connected. Men will one up themselves. So, hey, I went to Disneyland for 3 days. Oh, I went to Disneyland for a week. I went for Disneyland for a month. I stayed at Disneyland for a year. This is how we do things, right? It's just a different wiring that we're happening. This is what we're talking about, the masculine and feminine energy. Yeah. And it's very important. It comes down once again to self-awareness, who you are in your couple, when is your strength and your weaknesses, and it should be complementary.
I agree.
And that happens with conversation.
Yeah. And I coach guys like on, oh God, I lost my train of thoughts on like the fundamentals of just active listening and polarity and validating statements. So again, you're right in the sense that we don't expect you to remember every single detail. We just want you to listen, and then we want you to just say, that sounds rough, that sounds tough, I could totally understand why you feel that way. Even men, if you actually disagree, we're not asking you to agree with us, mind you, we're just asking you to listen and then to validate that it's true, that experience and the way we're feeling could be true for us, not necessarily for you. Right.
Yeah. And it's very hard for men at the beginning because you want to fix everything because you love your woman and you got to bite your tongue and you're like, oh, I can see it. If you did this, if you told this, if you did that move, if you did that. And the thing is that it's the time where active listening it's a practice. You need to be able to be present for your wife, to be able to listen to once again.
So that you can achieve more of that reality of the relationship that you're dreaming of and wanting to have. That doesn't exist without both of you being good listeners. It doesn't exist without you having patience with each other, right? It doesn't exist without you being vulnerable with each other. And also, you have to learn, men and women need to learn to sit in the discomfort of their partner's emotions. So as a woman, it doesn't feel good for me to be around Andrew when he's upset or angry, even if it's not at me. Like yesterday, we were driving out to see my dad and he got in my car and he was pissed because he had some technical issue on his computer at the end of the day when he was trying to upload something and it was being a bitch. And he was like, he hadn't even had a chance to vent because here's me, I'm on my way to get you. And he's like, oh, he's not ready because he's pissed off. He gets in the car. And my tendency is like, oh, don't raise your voice or be quiet or, oh, I don't like this energy. But instead, because I understand this, I just let him vent for 20 minutes or whatever it was. Did I remember all the details? No. Did I just let him get it out of his system? Yes. Did I validate that sounded frustrating as shit? I did that. And then he got through that emotion and halfway through the drive, it turned around. We had a great time. We laughed. We arrived at my dad's house. We had a great dinner. My previous self would not have been okay to sit in the discomfort of him being angry in my small little Mini Cooper as we're driving out there. I would have wanted to tell him to not be like that. And look, conversely, for men, when they're listening to women be highly emotional because we are, and we have periods and all the shit that just messes our minds up. It's uncomfortable for a guy to sit there when we're crying or we're upset, or even when women are angry. The first thing you want to do is solve it so that goes away because you're uncomfortable. But in any loving partnership, any conscious relationship, you've got to learn to just hold space for your partner and be okay while they emote, because otherwise they shove that stuff down, and that's not healthy.